Well, hello there. Glad to see you. Glad you can make it. What was I doing? Looking at these cards that Rufus, the druid, he gave me these. He said they're called druid cards. Interesting perspective, but I figured I would see if they have any worth of them, especially for you today, before we start our reading. So what do we have for the card? It says Pilgrim's Peace. Well, based on Druid's interpretation, that would mean a pilgrimage of some kind, and releasing one's excess baggage to perceive what the universe brings you and be open to it. Druids. Anyways, to the story. But before we get there, a little punch here. It's been warm up here, and I apologize in trying to get the story out to you sooner, but I can only stay up here for so long. It's hot in the fields, it's hot up here. Anyways, Vincent!
Yeah, boss.
Vincent!
Hang on, I'm coming. Oh, boy, it's really hot up in these rooms. I don't know how he does it. Yeah, boss? Right here, what you like?
There you are. Vincent, can you do me a favor? Can you get me a mug of mead, but also a cool glass of water?
And how do you propose that?
You know, use the magic to make it cold. Anyways, where were we? Left a bookmark here. Oh, yes. Baldwin had leaped over a bush, yelling at elves around a fire. I wonder what trouble he'll get himself into this time.
You all die now.
As Baldwin clears the bushes and continues his run with sword drawn, chaos ensues, as both Talon and Elrond call out his name, while dark elves scramble for their own weapons. Having luck on their side for once gives Baldwin the chance he needs as he runs straight towards the campfire. Having the distance, he can see two dark elves with crossbolts. One still sitting fires a shot, which Baldwin instinctively brings his sword up directly in front of him, and it deflects it, and without missing a beat, turns towards them, gaining a few more steps before the other dark elf, a female, smiles and releases the bolt, which this time Baldwin is not quick enough. And when he tries to repeat the move with the sword, there is a sudden pain in his chest, causing him to stumble to a stop. Looking down, he sees the crossbolt protruding, and it is a perfect mark penetrating his heart. Looking back at the elf, a wicked smile appears on her face, as Baldwin falls face down into the dirt. Pain floods through Baldwin, making him gasp, while all around him are the sounds of combat. Twisting his body onto his back, another wave of pain hits, forcing him to grit his teeth. From this view, he can see his friends fighting for their lives, and there, only a few feet from him, is the female elf who shot him. Grabbing a stick laying on the ground next to him, he jams it into his mouth, and without hesitating grabs the bolt with his right hand and pulls it out, causing blood to spray out, along with his bitten scream. No sooner does the bolt come out, the blood flow stops, and his wound instantly starts to close, causing another incident of pain along with nausea. Fighting the urge to throw up, Baldwin slowly gets to one knee, drawing deep breaths as his body mends a wound that no normal person could survive. While probing his wound and finding no hole, he sees Tana duck behind Elrond, barely escaping a sword swing to her neck. Picking up his sword, Baldwin stands, and as the female elf exchanges sword swings with Talon, he brings his sword down, taking her sword arm off from the shoulder. Screaming in pain, she whirls to see who is behind her, while at the same time whipping a dagger from her waist with her left hand. Agony hits Baldwin as the dagger penetrates his sword arm. Pulling the dagger out, all the while staring at the wounded elf, he hears Talon yell, "Ye are a stubborn man, Baldwin." And as Talon spins to engage with another dark elf, Baldwin sees it, the look on her face as the bleeding stops and the deep cut closes to nothing. It is one of shock and of concern. Holding her shoulder, trying to stem the bleeding, she whistles a shrill, and all the dark creatures disengage and run, jump, leap into the darkness of the forest. In moments, all you can hear, less the night noises, are the heavy breathing as each takes pause to recover.
If I was not trying to gain me breath, I'd knock ye senseless.
I am sir. Lord Baldwin, you need to understand that your actions have consequences. You may not die, but Tana and I still can. And knowing our friendship compels us to your side, there may come a time when we walk away instead. Do not dishonor those in your life by letting your emotions govern your actions.
With a solemn nod, Baldwin walks to Tana to help her wrap a slash to her midsection. At first she tenses, but upon seeing his sad eyes, she relaxes and gestures. It will take time. When done helping Tana and the rest of the group tending to their cuts and bruises, Baldwin heads back to grab the horses, giving him time to mull over what happened. And as he walks, heat flows into his face. Shaking his head in embarrassment, he begins to berate himself for his carelessness. His friends almost died coming to his aid. Clearly they were outnumbered, and yet all he saw was a means to an end, a way to force the Queen to see him again. Was this idea to seek her out madness? Would she even give him the time of day? Surely if he killed enough of them, she would appear. But it would have to be on his terms, and without jeopardizing his friends. When Baldwin returns to the group a half hour later, with the horses in tow, there is a very small fire going.
Will this not attract the Dark Elves? Won't they then know we haven't followed them?
Nay, using a bit of magic Rufus taught me, I was able to find them and see where they're hidden.
They are still running south?
Aye.
For what purpose? We know not, but come dawn, we will find out.
With nothing more to say, each settle around the meager fire, chewing on dried rations. And even though the Dark Elves are a distance away, the group still takes watch, Talon going first, with Tana and Elrond following next. This allows Baldwin to settle into his thoughts while a very quiet Jasper curls up next to him. Come first light, Elrond is true to his word, and the group is packed up and eating their dried fruit while continuing their ride south. In no time, the four of them are out from under the canopy of trees and in the green hills. And with the pace they are keeping, it should be noontime when they arrive at the farm.
Baldwin, remember, only we ride first to the house. Then, Tanner will ensure no townsfolk are lingering along the road and the tree line to the south. Once it is clear, then you can ride in. This is my farm. I know, my friend, but you must understand. How would your kind react if they see you? Someone who should be dead, but alive, yet still stands walking amongst them. Yes.
And as the party crests the last hill, where Baldwin's farm spreads out before them, all can see someone approaching by foot.
Wait here.
Who is that?
It'd be Rufus. He must have had some squirrel or bird friend alert him to our coming.
As Talon rides down the hill towards Rufus, Baldwin notices his field has been tended to.
Who has been working my farm? Why, Rufus, of course. But how? He does have a way with animals, does he not? I suppose. I mean, I've seen him talk to birds, but I really did not think more of it. He is a powerful druid. Not a master druid, but close enough. Can you not see the extra horses and ox by the barn? Huh. Where was he when I was trying to till this past spring? Perhaps next spring will be easier.
Baldwin is about to reply when they can see Talon turn his horse and gallop fast back to the group.
What is it?
Not good. Rufus said the dark ones came in the middle of the night. And
What?
they desecrated your family's burial.
And before anybody can say a word, Baldwin is riding hard to his farm, to the old single oak tree behind the barn.
Baldwin!
Trying to console Baldwin when he first came to grips with his family's death was hard enough, but this takes on a whole new level of grieving, of guilt, of anger. The sun is setting when Tana approaches Baldwin. He has not moved from when he first leapt off the horse and fell to his knees in front of their open grave with bits of his family laying about. Gesturing, she asks, "May I?" Without answering, Baldwin reaches for his son's hand, but then stops short. Taking his hand into hers, Tana uses her other hand and starts the process of laying his family back to rest. With tears in his eyes, it takes Baldwin almost an hour just to reset the grave markers.
I will get proper stones for them.
Gesturing, Tana replies, "We know." After which, Baldwin turns to her and asks,
Why? What purpose does this serve?
Shrugging, Tana can only reply, "They are the Dark Ones, and chaos rules their every thought and action."
Well, now they have gone too far. I know what Elrond said, but this cannot go without punishment. And now they will see my wrath.
Tana reaches up to take his face into her hands, but Baldwin steps back.
No, Tana. This I will do, must do. In the Dark Queen's era, she has made an enemy that can never go away, will never die, and will forever haunt her and her people.
With sadness in her eyes, slowly she nods, and with gentle hand movements, Tana comments, "I was there once, after the orc took my tongue. It is a dark path, and if you go down it, know it will take you twice as long to come back." Nodding, as if all the world's wisdom was on his shoulders, Baldwin puts an arm around Tana, and, along with Jasper, they slowly walk back to the house. The air is cool and the night sounds soft as Baldwin starts to dwell on his revenge. For that is what it was, yet Baldwin was too consumed in his pain at the time to know otherwise. Suddenly, as they turn the corner to the front of the barn, an owl swoops low over their head, with Rufus turning back into the house while Talon heads in their direction.
I think that was the largest owl I have ever seen.
Aye, that would be Rufus's familiar.
Familiar.
A kindred spirits in animal form. Together they enhance each other's abilities.
Looking around, as they continue walking to the house, Baldwin asks,
Why was it here?
Rufus asked the animals in the area if they saw where the Dark Ones went.
And?
They're at Jacob's farm.
What? Why?
They are waiting.
For the Dark Queen?
Nay, I believe us. Well, more so you.
Why do you think that?
Because I confirmed it by looking at the tracks after what they did here. And they were deliberately left. You know elves. They're hard to track, but dark ones, they're even harder. Nearly impossible to follow if they set their mind to it.
So, these elves come to my farm, dig up my family, and then leave breadcrumbs for me to find them.
Aye.
Then that is where I'm going.
As Baldwin is first to enter the house, Talon grabs his arm.
Baldwin, can you at least hear Aaron's plan first? He knew of this decision, and you know we can't let you go alone. So...
With a reluctant sigh, Baldwin nods slowly.
Good. This gives us more time to heal, and to approach in daylight. That gives us a better position versus the darkness of night. Come.
And with that, the group goes over Elrond's plan, while Rufus hands everyone warm cider that has been enchanted with healing.
Okay, well, that's going to be it for today. Very interesting dilemma here. I feel bad for Baldwin. Seems like the whole world has him in their sights for some apparent reason. Anyways, it'll be interesting to see what happens and why they did what they did, those dark elves. Thanks for coming, and I will see you in a short time for the next part of the reading. Until then, you be safe.